Gratitude and Grace.
Excited to be here.
Absolutely.
My second visit.
That's right.
Oh, yes. Special guest stars today. And not only to St. Dennis, but near and far, and police and beyond. So,
Welcome.
welcome aboard, gang. Way to go.
Happy
Get your
birthday to
coffees.
Mr. Garcia, I
That's
believe.
right.
Happy
I don't know how
birthday
old he
shout
is,
outs
but-
there. Ernesto?
Ernesto.
All
Birthday
right.
today, so
After daily message.
yeah.
He is. Way
He
to
is
go,
a frequent
gang.
flyer.
Happy, exactly. Gratitude and Grace, gang.
Elise, do you have your coffee?
I had mine already. If I have another cup, this might get a little too energetic.
I'm into the iced coffee for the summer now,
Nice coffee.
so iced coffee.
I tell you, it's the new and coming thing.
I brew it myself, so
Ooh,
pretty hardcore.
It's time.
straight up sugar and all?
So just a little bit of
Okay.
I'm a fanatic with it, so it's a potty maker. It takes 24 hours to make a batch.
Good. You make it beforehand. Well, I'm assuming we're live and we're good to go.
Yeah.
And this is a special version of Gratitude and Grace. Deacon David, Lisa Harms with us. We're going to take some good energy today to bring us together. Giving a shout out, keeping that gratitude going, always trying to be grateful and yet to give thanks. And we thought it'd be a special day to kind of celebrate the gift not only of confirmation last night, but the whole faith formation, and then I give a big shout out to the efforts of Belize. So might be a little extended version today, get a gift of grace with Lisa and Deacon David. So let's just initially start with that gift of, confirmation last night. What was the joy? What was the surprise? What was on your heart this morning with it? Lisa, you kind of spearheaded the whole thing in a whole new way this year, and COVID, and it's going to be unlike any other year.
Yeah. Well, Deacon David kind of came out of retirement again to help.
Amen.
And
Exactly.
we needed to take a look at it virtually, and we did eventually come back in person for our retreats in the last class. But we had 39 that we started with, and we made it last night with all 39. So
That's the truth. Like you said,
Yes.
like Jesus said, I did not lose a single one of those you gave me.
we
so.
did not. It was a rough year for them as high school.
Well-
Most of them were high school freshmen and being very isolated from their peers. And we pull from so many different high schools. I think there's 7
different high schools.
different high schools for our confirmation students. So, but even just talking to their catechists last night, they said that the virtual went really well. Yes.
Let's
for
give some conversation to
reason.
the whole virtual
That was a
Yes.
surprise,
experience.
really.
Yes.
How because we were worried that they were so zoomed out with school, and they were sick of it because it's their whole day. It's Zoom, and then we had to bring them back. So that was extraordinarily challenging. But we basically threw our lesson plans out the window.
We did.
And had to start from scratch, specifically knowing it was going to be Zoom, trying to do the interaction, engaging them, and the feedback was incredible.
Incredible. And even talking to catechists after confirmation last night who have been with us, in both in person and virtually. We're going to have to take a good look at what it looks like
Right.
next year because there's a lot of elements that were great. I think the spiritual advising went well.
So spiritual
yeah.
advising is this candidates meet one-on-one with a
With an adult who's kind of been trained in how to guide and walk with a student spiritually, giving them spiritual goals and checking in with them. And that went
just
well.
a little accountability.
Yes, and answering their questions, and then we were able to do a sponsor-student meeting virtually, which
The sponsor and the candidate.
came.
And talk about that. I remember when that happened,
Yes.
or some of your great enthusiasm after
Yes.
like how well that went.
Oh, they were
Talk
just,
about that
the
whole piece.
students
What- yeah.
introduced their candidate or their sponsor and why they chose them, and we would never ask them to do that in person in a group. It's really intimidating. But they were able to do it on Zoom, and sponsors were obviously very touched and emotional of what the freshmen had said about why they chose that person. So that was, I felt like we should have just ended class after the intros because it was so meaningful. But, yeah.
Meaningful for the candidates to
And-
give witness
yes.
as to why they chose this sponsor,
And then
Then
just
the
an
sponsor to
affirmation
receive
for
it.
the sponsor.
how impactful they are.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was talking briefly with Bishop Hine last night, and I was saying that the spiritual advising, I said, they're like 20 minutes that we sit down one-on-one with
Typically in the
but
past.
we were going hour, and finally there were some times where you would just cut it off because you want to be through all the, but because they wanted to keep going. And he said, why is that? I said, I don't know. I said, we have a lot to think about before the next faith. Why was that such a hit? You would think it wouldn't be. Zoom. So I'm not sure. I have a couple theories, but I got to think a lot about this.
Do you have a leading theory?
I'm thinking that it was really conducive for the introverts because getting in an office and talking face to face with an adult, you're coming into their home, into their rooms, and a computer, and they would. It was really precious. As many times they would show us things like, my sponsor, my grandma gave me a rosary. You want to see the rosary? And then they'll be spending like 4 or 5 minutes trying to find it, and then okay, well we can do it next day. No, I got it here somewhere, and then they'll show you things that. Like I said, I got to think about this.
Or I was talking to
next
one
month.
student who was an artist, and then she was like, show me some of your art. So it was just, she was pulling things out.
Yeah.
And, or here's my dog. I mean, just
Right.
ways to connect with
So I
students.
think,
So,
now that the people are going to be coming back, God willing, and this is going to be behind us, I think that we don't just take the Zoom and say, we are so sick of this, we're done, we're never going to do this again. Now we got to think, okay, how is
What
this
was
work?
so effective?
Yeah,
Right.
what was the strengths of it, and do we throw those away? No, but how do you incorporate them into a program where you are bringing them back? So, yeah, we have what's April? We have till August to figure this all out.
And the one time they did come back was for the retreat.
Yes.
And so, I mean, part of the diocesan goal or the parish goal is always to have a retreat opportunity for individuals approaching one of the sacraments. And in the past, we've done a day-long kind of event, bring them all together. Obviously, it moved in a different direction. Walk us through how that
Yeah, so we
anticipated
we
and
split it
followed out.
into two, just for numbers, because we had such a large class. And even that, I think, is something to pause and think about.
Two separate
because
days.
2 separate days, even though it was a lot more time. Every station leader commented how they were able to just get much deeper with a smaller group. And we know this in education, that smaller is
Isn't that so
always
true?
better. But sometimes, it's easier to just do
Yeah.
it one time. So.
The three stations.
Yeah, the 3 stations. So we did adoration with reconciliation, and then a time to write thank you notes for their sponsors and just connect with the students. And then Pat Hendrickson set up the labyrinth upstairs, which is truly, it's a labyrinth. The kids walk through different prayer stations and reflect on themselves and their spiritual life. And then the last station was the spiritual gifts of the Holy Spirit, and then just working on their spiritual timelines and what that looked like. So,
Right.
yeah.
What a great
Yeah.
activity, the spiritual timeline. Just to take some time to reflect upon when you were so aware of the highs and lows
Right.
of God's presence.
Yeah, even in correlation with what's happening in your life.
Right.
And
I mean, that was the
students
whole
will see
activity,
that
right?
Typically, the low points are your high faith moments.
So the students were asked to review their 15 years of life and look
Yes.
at just kind of the high points of life, the low points of life. And then another line was always about awareness of God's presence.
You use like a black marker to show what was going on in their life, highs and lows, and so it's kind of going like this.
Yeah.
And then a red marker would show where was God in this. So
Yeah.
that was and they had to unpack that. One young man said to me when he was getting ready to do it, he said, "Mine's going to look like those doctors when they're going up because they're on life support and it's going all over the place. That's what mine's going to look like." And they were excited to do it because you don't usually do that in your life, and we encourage people really should do that yearly, an annual thing, just a good check.
And it's at the heart of growth in the interior life. It's always about memory,
Yeah.
awareness of how God is with me,
Right.
especially in the struggle.
When you're looking back,
Yes,
During
in the
the thing,
moment,
yeah.
you can't figure, you can't. It's just a mess. I got illness, my dad died. It just is a mess, and yet.
and how often do we say on those when you're doing those that I was praying for this and thank God that God had a better idea. Mine was just in the moment, quick, but God had a different picture of it, and that comes up a lot.
Right.
You look back for myself too. You look back and you're saying, "Wow, it was just so." I'm just so happy and grateful that God didn't listen to me because
Right.
mine was a Band-Aid and God's was the actual healing.
Yeah, another thing that we did, let's talk a little bit about the letters, which eventually led to the video.
Yes.
And folks, you can give a shout out for that. But I mean,
yeah. So the students needed to, as always, write a letter to the bishop. And so I always take a look at those first before we send them off, just in case. We didn't have any issues this year, but they were so beautiful that I took different snippets from it, and I asked the students who had written them if they would be okay to do a little voiceover with a confirmation video with their pictures. So I think maybe I'll post that video later today of just the confirmation students with that. But
was that a hard sell with them to have it?
No,
shown
they were okay because I didn't have, like, this is Deacon David speaking. They were a little anonymous with their piece, and it was an option, but
it was like a talk over too, where you're showing other pictures. You could
Yes.
see you didn't know it was that specific person.
yes. And as a former English teacher, the best compliment of the whole night was from Bishop Pine, who said they were very well written letters. So I was very proud because I helped with some editing there.
The length of them was incredible.
Yes, and they were very honest.
Yeah.
Not shying away from faith struggles, and that's a part of all of our lives. And they didn't gloss over it and make it like
they were all
this was
generally
an
they
easy
were
decision. Some of them had a hard decision coming to this, but they, talked to Bishop about how they came to this moment, and he appreciated the honesty, which we do too. So
they were well written, and they weren't like short little paragraphs. They were They were like a page. I mean, they did a lot of thought into it. I was very proud of how that went.
Too.
Yeah.
the tender line for me was always about the one who indicated, "Well, life is falling apart, and I'm doing this not for my parents or the chaos around me. I just know I can count on God." And you hear a young child say that, or you're like, "Dang, that's right." Keep reminding us.
Right.
Yeah. These are
freshmen in high school.
Freshmen in high
Yes.
school.
Right.
Who have gone through unbelievable challenges this past year.
Right.
I don't even think we have psychologists and spiritual directors don't have really grasp of how intense this last year was for all of us. But I think the younger people, this was tough. This was
start at high school.
Yeah.
Online and not know people.
Yeah, let's switch a little bit to the actual event of confirmation last night,
sure.
and maybe if we have a little video, we can. I think there's what I encourage folks to pay attention, or perhaps go online and to perhaps listen to Bishop's homily again. There was so much packed within it as he speaks from the heart. It's just so inspiring to receive it. But I grabbed maybe it's a 30-second clip or so that if it downloaded it, you can just kind of listen to a little bit of it. It's his final exhortation about that whole sense Christ didn't choose you, but yet to go and give a witness.
So whatever you do with your life,
Bring the
do it for
presence
God
and
and be generous in your
it
response.
just brings great
Because you already realize through
Exhorted them
your
in terms of
acts of
the life
service
prayer, the
and
life of staying
compassion
connected to
that
the
life
church,
is not
studying
about
Eucharist.
us.
And then his third piece was about
And that joy and
the life
happiness become byproducts when we lay
So I
our
thought
life
that was
down
just,
for God and
just real
others,
tender
and then we're
touching for us
filled
all
with the
just to be
fullness
reminded of it.
of God
And then there was
and
a lot
the
of
Holy
graces that
Spirit.
came out of, or a lot of gifts.
So note tonight
Feedback.
how you
from
are
the students
loved,
last night, their families.
Loved
So good
infinitely
to see a
by
church
God.
full of people.
surrounded by our love and
I
prayer.
think it's complete.
How proud we are of you.
And if we got a little cue.
How
that
overjoyed
we're
I
good to go.
am.
Perhaps it played. All right,
Playing right
there it
now.
is. It's back. So we're back. Yeah, so any follow-up from confirmation last night? Any of the feedback parents offered to you? You mentioned yours getting...
Yeah, I mean, just great gratitude, from parents, and but the kids really were the ones that put in the work, and I know they were nervous, but they did a great job. So we were just really, really proud of them, and it was really refreshing for me to see, and some talk to me about. We've seen a lot of these kids since kindergarten, so we're dating ourselves slightly, but
Well, that one
Yes.
that one young girl was saying that I started the program in kindergarten. You're like, oh, how could that be
How are you
possible?
now? I
How
know.
old am I?
Exactly.
And I said, don't look at me.
But just to see that growth, and to see them to this sacrament was a joy, and it truly was a gift for us. So
Yeah, it's that culmination of all the years'
It is.
work was worth it. So
yeah,
yeah.
it was beautiful.
Yeah, the one comment on my heart this morning was the father who said, I just really want to applaud St. Dennis and the experience my son had with faith formation. I never once, he just anticipated being a part of the confirmation of faith formation. He said, I had greater struggle getting him to go to sporting events or practice. And
I know we're.
Yes.
I'm like, rewind, say that again. But what I mean, underneath that, I want to believe this young individual was awakened to an awareness of God, and it just kept. He just wanted more, and it fills the heart in a different way than any other activity that we're about. All of it's good, but there's something so good and wholesome about growing in your faith life and ways and with the community. So
Right. And just-
that was the takeaway for me.
Planting seeds, and one of our catechists who teaches 4th grade faith formation, sometimes you don't quite know
Right.
if you're getting to the kids or, and it's all just about planting those seeds. And one of our confirmation students chose her 4th grade catechist for their sponsor.
Yeah.
And just a true, that's 5 years ago, but the impact that you can make.
Right.
And you never know.
Right.
That's great too. We've really experienced here since I've been at St. Denis. Is the catechists stay?
Yeah, they do.
They stay. The majority. You're not always trying to recruit. Many of the churches will go. We really need catechists. We need catechists. They're begging. We come on, step up. We do not have that problem.
No, we have an amazing group of adults and young adults to old adults,
Yep.
and
Well, and
everywhere in between.
it starts
so.
from leadership, and so you've done a fine job of cultivating them, recruiting them, supporting them, nurturing them, and yet strengthening their own faith. So
We appreciate them, and I think we let them know that all the time. And it's a
try.
good community group of
Yeah.
people.
Good people.
So we got a few minutes left, but any other pieces in terms of faith formation, or as you look back in the
Yeah.
larger perspective?
We kind of have a culminating event on Monday coming up. We're inviting
yeah.
families for an open house to come in and spend a little time with Jesus in adoration, pick up a little gift, and then, of course, our favorite, the Kona ice truck.
The Kona ice truck.
I've had a couple people say they've already picked out their flavors, so
Nice.
hey.
For some reason, I don't know if this is my fault, but kids are expecting Marley to be there.
He said
Is
this.
he available, or is he?
I'm not sure how that would work.
Well, I
Since
was
Marley is a
thinking,
puppet.
are we wearing masks?
Yes.
Then I'm a professional ventriloquist if I have a mask on. So I think it's doable. I think I could be right there with the best
We
of the
gotta
ventriloquists.
Hey.
Marley's got to show up.
Yeah, it's
Well,
gotta
he
be.
told
yeah.
all the kids, and then afterwards, I'm
He
like,
said he
how is
hoped-
that even going to work?
He said he hopes he's invited, but he has not been officially
think
invited
you need to
yet.
watch the language there.
Yeah.
He said for sure he was going to be there.
I heard from more than one student that Marley was vaccinated. I'm anxious to see that video, and Marley's a hit. He's just making it. He's got to show up.
Oh, yeah. Marley is vaccinated, and Marley's he's doing great, and he wants to be there at the Kona Ice. So
Get some Kona ice.
yeah,
We'll
and
figure it out.
I think it can work. We got to figure out how
Yes.
he's going to be
Logistics.
attached, but they think he's going to be serving the ice, the Kona Ice, but I don't know. Maybe a couple of
You have
follow
to-
shots.
Yes,
You have to
yes.
contract with Marley, see how that's
Yes,
going to work.
you're
out.
right.
See if that works. I don't know if the driver is going to like that, but
His agent is a little difficult to work with.
yeah, he's kind of high maintenance.
Giving
Yeah.
thanks for all of that, friends.
For sure.
Yeah. And then the other piece in terms of looking ahead,
Yes.
get a little plug for the
VBS.
summer.
So we're going to do a vacation Bible school in August. At this point, we're in person, kind of waiting on registration and how that's going to look right now. But yeah, we are looking to be in
Initially,
person in
planning on
in
doing it
August,
live.
so we are planning on doing it live. Yeah.
Mhm.
That'd be great.
Yeah, info to follow, but our theme this year will be treasured. And you are a gift and you are treasured to Jesus. So after confirmation, after Monday, I always get sucked into VBS planning, so I haven't really delved yet, but then I will allow myself to start.
So is this like a treasure hunt?
It
or
is a
something
treasure
that's
hunt.
gonna be
Oh, yes.
like
Through
around
the
the
jungle.
world? Oh yeah.
And like archaeologists,
All right.
finding jewels and gems and
So-
crosses and yeah.
I sense that Marley's going to be back for that.
We have to figure out how to get Marley to the jungle.
Yeah.
But don't worry.
The writers are working on that
The
frantically.
script writers
trying
will
to-
be working in June.
Loving all of that, friends. Hey, we got a few minutes left. I want to flip the script a little bit to the celebration of our commitment to Belize.
Yeah.
Some of the fundraising initiatives, most especially recently in terms of the pizza sale and the cookie sale, and then some of that proceeds. And David, I think you've reached out and got some. So yeah, we got a couple of videos we want to
Yeah,
show.
do we have time
Give
to
us a little.
show those?
So the first one
Who's going
is
to do it? Father Ben
Father
from
Ben is
Sacred
the
Heart in San Ignacio.
Good morning, everybody. I am Father Benjamin Galvez, pastor of Sacred Heart Parish. Here in our parish, we have 17 villages where we need to attend, and then we have 12 primary schools and 2 colleges. Now we are serving in this parish. We are the 2 priests, and also in that way we are trying to attend the communities. We have different challenges in this parish, but also I want to thank the house ministries, because the assistance that you are giving us in our parish really it is helping us a lot. Because this time with this pandemic, we are going through many problems, especially financial problems. We depend in our parish to sustain the parish from collections. But this time, the churches were being closed. Now that is open, we can allow 50% to having our people to having the church, and we can say that many people are afraid to come. We are still.
My name is Bernadine Laverne Martinez, Assistant Local Manager for Sacred Heart Parish, along with Father Benjamin, who just spoke a minute ago. I am here serving along with him, serving 12 schools that we have throughout the communities. And I also attend Mass and help him as a lay minister of the church.
A pleasant good morning. My name is Ernesto Garcia. I have given and dedicated for the last 10 years my time to Sacred Heart Parish in Belize. My parishioners of St. Denis Church, I think I am the only Belizean who attends Mass with you all from Belize. I'm so grateful for all your assistance you have all contributed to our parish in Belize by lending some of your parishioners time to work in Belize. It is with much pleasure to say thank you and look forward for your future cooperation. Thank you.